Oh, okay, okay. So we're doubling right now. This is like the content creators where they have like the fork. They got one and the two. We got two right now. Okay, how does this thing work? Up, down. Sick. Okay. Hello. My name is Yufu, or DJ Yuzu, and I'm a DJ, producer, and engineer. And today we're talking about becoming the artist of your dream, how to cultivate motivation and creativity. These arrows are so confusing. So, creativity is a hypocrite. Back in the late 1800s, there was a well-renowned artist named Da Vinci Picasso. And Picasso was known for her beauty and realism, such as the Mona Lisa, as well as her remarkable abstract work, such as The Future of Music. Crazy. And so being a well-renowned artist in the late 1800s, of course, comes with a lot of wealth. And with this wealth, she decides to make a big white box. Yeah, box, sick. And so you might be thinking, this is her latest, greatest creation, her newest artwork. No, she wanted her to challenge herself to create something truly original, not inspired by anything from the outside world. And so she locked herself up in this room for months, drawing, painting, sketching. Nothing. Everything that she makes is somehow inspired by something from the outside world and not truly original. And so she leaves this room feeling defeated, wondering if she was ever creative in the first place. So, creativity is a hypocrite. Creativity tells you to be original, yet it's impossible to be creative without having inspirations. So, the best way to tackle creativity is the same as one would tackling a university course, which you've been skipping class for the past 2 months. You copy off the smartest kid in the room. Now, motivation, on the other hand, is about confidence and certainty. Now, we're not talking about confidence today. I'm not your therapist. I don't want to be your therapist. But we can cultivate creative motivation with two steps. Motivation is twofold. You must know your end goal and you must know your next step. Firstly, you want to know your end goal. Your end goal is sorry, give me a sec. I had a lot of energy drink just before, and we're a little bit nervous right now. Woo! Give me a sec. All right. So motivation, you first need to know your end goal. What are you trying to achieve? And now most of you already know this. Maybe you want to perform at EDC. Maybe you want to make your first song. Maybe you're just trying to learn your first transition. But you need to know your end goal. What are you trying to achieve? And normally sizing down a little bit, keeping your goals realistic is very important. The next part of motivation is one of the reasons why having a mentor is so helpful, and that's knowing your next step, knowing the next thing that you need to do to further your goal. Now, unlike learning to use a CDJ or learning to use a DAW like Ableton or FL Studio, creativity doesn't have a list of buttons or features for you to go through. So how can we consistently find the next step in learning to be creative? Well, creativity is threefold. Creativity is about inspirations, references, and acceptance. Firstly, know your influences. Influences are the drive for you to become who you want to become. So y'all are all artists. I don't need to tell you to find the content that makes you excited or emotional or what made you want to become an artist in the first place. But you do need to learn how to cultivate inspirations. Let's say you're changing genres, or you need to learn to become a content creator, for example. These are all things that we don't think about, but you have to learn a uh, as a creative. So once you have your list of inspirations, you get to start creating. You're inspired. You're ready to go. Um, but you're stuck. You don't know where to start. There's so many things that you can do. References are there to help with your analysis. Indecision paralysis. Thank you, slides. Um, References are your cheat sheet. It is the smartest kid in the room for you to copy off of. So you want to find something, it doesn't have to be part of your influences. but it can be. More importantly, it has to be something that you can understand and that you can blatantly copy. And honestly, if you do copy exactly, it probably won't be the same. So you're kind of chilling. Now, some of you might be thinking, Yufu, this isn't creativity. What the heck? Well, okay, clearly you haven't been paying attention. And creativity has been lying to you anyways. This is something you simply have to accept. Creativity isn't about originality, but about becoming the cocktail of inspirations that you have knowingly or unknowingly become. And so here we are at the most difficult part of creativity, which is acceptance. If you are stuck, if you don't know what to do, finding your next step, you are probably at this stage. Maybe you need to accept that you still haven't learned to be creative in whatever you're trying to do. So you need to spend time going through this checklist. Maybe you need different inspirations. Maybe you need different references. Maybe you have to accept that you have to learn more. You have to spend some time learning whatever you're trying to do, or that you just need to take a break. I'm going to use the slides for this. Acceptance is the fight against our ego. It's the red pill to clarity, and it's a cognitive laxative to growth. Yeah. Woo! I made most of those up. So, what does creativity look like? You become the culmination of all of your inspirations and your references. These are the tools that a creator uses to become who they want to be, your inspirations and your references. And so, I was once told a quote: if you want to be a better metal musician, listen to anything but metal. And that's a cool part about using your inspirations and references, that you can look elsewhere, and once you copy from places other than your own genre, you truly can become creative. So, in conclusion, get motivated, know your end goal, know your next step, be creative, find your inspirations, find your references, know when to accept, and become the artist that you want to become. Yes, become the artist of your dreams. I have one more slide and just a little more that I want to talk about real quick before we go into questions. I do actively use this. I use this for, I'm working on a song right now. It is my first song. I know I said I'm a producer, not yet. I also used this strategy for creating these slides, or to create this presentation and a bunch of other things. So this is something that I do actively practice. I've used it in Minecraft too. So this is just a small list of what I've used for this presentation. Yeah. This mic is great, thank you. Yes, let's open up with questions. I'm ready to be barraged. David, hi.
Can you repeat your quote again? Acceptance is the laxative to.
Let's go back. Okay. Actually, I pretty blatantly stole that one.
Aristotle?
No. So there's been a book, there's a series of books I've been reading by Brandon Sanderson. This is from Tress and the Emerald Sea, where he uses cognitive laxative, but somewhere else. So that is my reference here. But yeah, it's acceptance is the cognitive laxative to growth. No problem. Any other questions? Are y'all ready? Let's go.
I'm interested in learning more about how mentorship can help with creativity.
Sure, yeah. So I had a bit that I cut out of this presentation, which says this is not a replacement for networking and mentorship. The main thing is this is a structure that I think will help you grow regardless, that you should be keeping in mind as you go. So let's say you find a mentor, they can help you consistently have a next step. And for you to know your end goal, I think Alex Cade gave me the advice. You want to know who you're aiming for. Like, who is an example of who you want to be? And that's like your end goal. And then from there, if you can get a mentorship, of course, that'll be amazing. And then so they can kind of help you, okay, here's what I'm at right now. And they can give you advice. Oh, this is something that I would do right now. And you're like, oh, I didn't know I could even do that, you know? So it kind of opens it up. The whole idea of networking and mentorship is about removing your biases, because we're all very human. We all get very stuck in our ways. And acceptance is a huge part of that, knowing when to take a step back. So, yeah. Yes, Ivan.
So how do you view
you told us that creativity is inspired by others that started it first, right? So we learn how to kind of build our creativity based on that, but then
Yep.
we see negativity around that area too, where we're like, oh, this person's just like, you see comments or you see people talking
So
badly about it too. So
if you have hate comments, that's when you know you made it.
yeah.
I mean, like realistically, you are going to have to learn somehow, and it is through copying other people. And you can do it better or worse. I've once heard there's like a stealing and copying kind of an idea. Um, However it is, I very blatantly, like for my song, there's a part that I very blatantly copied from something. I don't think people notice. Like honestly, and I did it slightly differently from everyone else. I can explain that later, but yeah. Copy first, and then you become something. Mezzy.
Yeah, so you talk about finding the next step. So at what point do you feel like you would start to pivot and because there's moments where you'll feel like you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again? At what point do you think in your timeline, like at what point do you go back to step one kind of?
Go back to step one. I don't think. I guess finding the next step is like when you're in that loop. That's when you should be searching for what the next step is. The next thing that you need to do to start growing. So it's not about like ever going back to stage one because you have progressed as a person if like you believe so or not. You're always learning, you're always being inspired. That's just how humans work, right? So if you are in that same loop and you're stuck, this is where you should be going through these stages where you try to find the next step. If it's creativity, then you go through, are you inspired? Do you know? And for me, I'm really bad with content. I barely post. So I know I need to spend some time going to curate my own list of inspirations for content creation so that I know I can start like being creative in that aspect. Does that answer? Sick. How we doing? Are there any more? Oh, Christine, hi.
As someone, let's say you're early on and you're trying to craft your vision and you're trying to have an individual voice, but you're still in that early stage where you don't want to be someone that's holding on to an ego. So you're like taking input from everyone you can.
Mm-hmm.
But when there's a moment and you're like, you know what, I believe in this decision, but everyone around you, especially people that are more experienced than you, are telling you not to do that. How do you know when it's time to believe in your own voice?
That is a really good question. I think that is a very difficult answer. Um, I think one of the answers for that could be you sometimes have to learn things the hard way. I do know that there are like I've seen creatives who are like, I want my thing to be a certain way, and it's like actually really really hard, especially from an engineer perspective. It's like some engineering concepts, it's just like it's hard to do, and sometimes you just have to learn it that way. Alternatively, like it depends. I for me, I like to think about how open minded or how close minded someone is. Are they kind of stuck in their own like routine, or do they feel like they want to hear out different ideas and see if something is possible or not? And honestly, if someone's telling you it won't work, they better have a good backup, like a good reason for it. Or else for me, I'm like, okay, why? And especially if they say something you're like that feels wrong, I would trust that instinct personally. That depends on you, depends on the person, depends on your relationship, all that stuff. So yeah, hope that helps. That's a very noisy mic. Yes.
I guess aside from the acceptance thing, because you did talk about stagnation, I feel like this is just my own experience. When I first started music in general, there was many times where I burnt out. And from your own experience, like I know that when you first start something new, it's very overwhelming and it can be exciting.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
you hit many times you hit like ceilings and you're not really sure how to get past it. So when someone's trying to get into something and they hit that burnout stagnation phase, I know you have like the acceptance thing there, but
Yes,
aside
yeah.
from that, from your own like personal experience, what would you say is a good way to kind of get inspired or to not necessarily just kind of peek out that window a little bit? Because I understand that burnout is very difficult and you can't really just get over it right away.
Yeah, there's so many different aspects to that too, when depending on the person. Again, it's always like a what's actually going on your side. I think for a burnout, it could be like, let's say we're in a situation where you couldn't find the next step and you're stuck in this loop. That's probably where burnout comes from because you're not inspired, you're not growing, you don't see your success going anywhere. it might be time to take a break and try to remove your biases. That might be a situation that you have to do. You're right, it really does come to acceptance, but like if you go back, I didn't even list out all the possible things that you can accept. And I think it really is about finding, and it's so hard, knowing which part is stopping you from growth. Maybe you're scared, maybe like you're just tired and you need to come out, refresh, and stop thinking of music as like a job. Because the moment you're there, right? Like, how do you? I want to love music again. I don't want to be stuck in this grind. So maybe it's just about stepping away for a bit, or just talk to someone that's passionate. Actually, the original quote for most motivational laxative comes from the idea of like brainstorming with a peer, where sometimes you might be stuck, but two minds don't necessarily work. Like they don't double your creativity or double your influence, but sometimes if one starts thinking hard, the other one gets motivated to think hard. So maybe finding someone and networking and finding a mentor, all these things, getting excited, feeling like you can progress. Yeah, hopefully that helps. Yes.
You mentioned briefly the benefits of networking and mentorship.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if you could also speak, because usually people assume you're talking about finding networks and finding mentors.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe speak to the benefits of creating networks and being a mentor.
Creating networks and being a mentor. Interesting. For me, I just believe meeting new people and like seeing new perspectives. Like there's the quote of find someone you disagree with and listen to them. That's always the first quote that I think like everyone should know. So always remove your biases via that. For becoming a mentor, I like maybe I think differently. It's cool to see other perspectives and see where people struggle with. But also, like I do love teaching a lot. That's something that's very important to me. So when I'm being a mentor for someone, I'm actually thinking, how can I be a better mentor, as opposed to how does it benefit me musically, if that makes sense. So I don't really have like there are benefits. Like there's also like empathy is nice, teaching is nice, and opening your mind and being able to explain something and learning how to explain something is also beneficial. So maybe that. I know it's not the best answer, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Are we chilling? How are we doing? Are we ready for Mr. Emblem to take the stage?
Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you, Theo.